them. We got to get the brakes right. For NASCAR Now, I'm Rusty Wallace.
And in the studio today, Trevor Bayne, easier said, has been with us. At the beginning of the show, he told us you've never been outside of the country. Now, I was going to ask about what you were expecting in the race this weekend, but what are you expecting, for your first trip?
I really don't know what to expect. I mean, I've talked to a few people about the track. I talked to Michael McDowell. I'm looking forward to catching up with Patrick Carpentier and Marcus Ambrose, who are going to be my teammates there. I know they're going to be great drivers to lean on. Marcus Ambrose, I'm sure he feels like one owes him there. But I'm really, I haven't got a whole lot of road course experience, so every one of these is kind of a new thing. I got to be a sponge, soak it in, and learn as much as I can. I'm sure I'll get one of those guys to take me around in the pace car when I get there, and just try to learn as much as I can when I get there.
Your road course experience is how many races?
4 races total ever in anything, so not much.
Well, brush up on the French and enjoy your stay. But we asked the fans on Twitter, too, to ask this guy a few questions, and we have pulled aside a few of the best ones. This one is up first. When do you hope to make the transition into the Cup Series?
Well, I'd like to be full-time by 2012. I think that's been my goal all along. So maybe next year if we can run a very limited schedule just to kind of bridge into those into that Cup Series. It's kind of hard to jump in your first time ever racing going into a full season. So I think if I could run 4, 5, 6, 7 races next year just to get comfortable in the cars, that'd be great. But definitely 2012, I'd love to be full-time.
That is what you would like? What are the chances that that could happen next season?
I think it's pretty good. I've definitely, we've had talks about it. We're definitely focusing on the full-time nationwide program right now. That's our key objective, and that's the main thing we want to focus on. But if we're running well, we've got sponsorship and everything falls into place, it's definitely a very strong possibility that we could run those races.
Let's move on to our next tweet. Are you intimidated racing around the Cup guys in the Nationwide Series, and do you race them any different?
I actually love racing against the Cup guys. I mean, I think they give me something to look up to. They're a teaching tool, and when I get to battle with those guys for the lead or for third, it's a front row seat with the best teachers in the sport. They get up there, they battle. When I was in college at Iowa, just watching how fast that those guys move their lines around to adjust their cars is incredible. So I think having them in the series has been great for me to learn from, and it's just going to help us to make that transition into the Cup Series when we're ready to do that.
Who's the hardest to get around?
It's I mean, all those guys race so hard, and they come to me and they're like, don't race so hard so early, but then I go to pass them and they race me hard. So I'm like, oh, I got to find that line. But, I mean, all those guys, Keselowski, Kyle Busch, Carl Edwards, Kevin Harvick. Kevin Harvick races as hard as anybody, but he's the man. So, he's definitely one of the toughest to get by.
You briefly mentioned this earlier. Johnny Benson is your driving coach. Our next Twitter question is, what is it like working with driving coach Johnny Benson?
Johnny Benson's been great so far. He's been out to one race, which was Iowa, which I felt like was one of our best performances, I said earlier. So I know he was a benefit having him there at the track. Hopefully we're going to get him out to more races, maybe Atlanta, maybe a couple of these races coming up, to really be hands-on at the track. But, we watched video together right before ORP. He sat me down, went through some of the races that he's run there. He won there in a truck series race. So he has so much to offer as a driver coach, and it's been great.
We did learn a few things about you today. You spend a lot of time driving back and forth to Tennessee. You like to wakeboard and you like to wake surf. But if you weren't racing, what could you see yourself doing?
Oh, man, I'd love to do some stuff in the mission field. I've always had a heart for that. And then, so maybe I could go do some mission work somewhere that has a beach and set up a tiki hut somewhere and rent surfboards to people while I was doing that. That'd be pretty cool, I guess.
You see the sponsor. It says Out Pet Care. How do I get my doggy on the car? Because I think he's the cutest dog out there.
I know. You've been trying to bribe me all day long.
I need the dog on the car.
It's got to be fair. So everybody can go to outpetcare.com and enter the Top Dog of the Week contest as soon as the race starts on Saturdays, and just register your dog. Maybe you can win.
Maybe we're going to get Sammy on there. Hey, thanks for watching NASCAR Now. Thank you very much for being here today. It's been a pleasure hanging out with you. Remember, we are back tomorrow, 6 Eastern, right here on ESPN2. We leave you now with a few last-minute pictures of Trevor's day here at ESPN. We'll see you tomorrow at 6.